Hello folks, and welcome to this video here. We'll talk about the Würth 400, and it is, well, I'm losing count now. It's the 12th, no, the 11th race. Sorry, I almost included the Clash race of the NASCAR Cup Series season, but let's talk about all of the different standout moments from the one Texas Motor Speedway date of the season. And let's talk about the people up front at first. Joey Logano, I believe, becomes the 9th different winner in as many races at Texas Motor Speedway. It was, well, it wasn't a dominant win. He came through at the right time, played his cards right, and benefited from a mistake from Malcolm McDowell, which allowed him to get through. Then McDowell ended up in the fence, which is what triggered the overtime. Ross Chastain got to second place, which is equally as impressive, but Chastain, like Logano, had his car come good at the end of the race, and Ryan Blaney got his, second top 5 as many races. Larson was 4th. I think he was the only one in the top 10 to have qualified within the top 10. But he also finished where he started, which, as far as I'm aware, only another couple of drivers did. Potentially, was it only Justin Haley in 15th who also finished where he qualified? But then behind them you've got Eric Jones for Legacy. Legacy have had some really good performances. In some ways, they believe that this was better than the Daytona 500, in which Jimmy Johnson came 3rd. And I think 3 cars are in the top 15 or 16 spots. Stenhouse was 6th. Dillon was 7th, he's had some real up and down performances, but when they're up, they're really up. Then Nemechek in 8th, making it 2 Legacy top 10s. Christopher Bell in 9th, which, given that he to and fro down the order, was a big deal. Lead JGR car by quite a bit, I think. Yeah. The next one was Ty Gibbs down in 23rd. And top 10 was rounded out by Daniel Suarez. But that said, like I mentioned, there are a lot of drivers who ran up towards the front who ran into issues. Chase Briscoe span out. Michael McDowell span out. Austin Cindric was caught up in a wreck as well. And likewise, people like Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, who led for a while, also ended up crashing out. It was messy for so many different people, and for so many different reasons. Heck, Denny Hamlin was the first one out of the race. He blew a motor. Which means that we get the chance to talk about the bump. That bump has caused so many issues over the years, hasn't it? I mean, it was an off of that bump that sidelined Alex Bowman and arguably set his career back a couple of years whilst he recovered from the injury that he sustained. It's that bump that caused so many of the wrecks today. I mean, if you look through who ended up wrecking at that part of the track, you can look at people like Josh Berry. Was it Briscoe's as well going through 4? It's a bit like at the top of Radion there's one as well. Historically there's been one. I think they didn't smooth out either when they did the redevelopment works. It's the one which Lando Norris crashed going over in that Belgian Grand Prix. What, 2021? But it's part of that that produces the character for Texas Motor Speedway. And whilst it is something that can cause risk, I also think that having those kinds of features on tracks isn't necessarily the worst thing. It's only when it endangers other drivers that becomes a problem. Because there needs to be some other differentiating factor between the tracks that we deem cookie cutters. Those 1.5 mile ovals. Whether it's the composition of the asphalt, how long it is before a resurface, some things like bumps on the track. I think that those things separate each track away from each other and mean that you need different skill sets to be fast at different 1.5 miles. Anyways, let's wrap up by talking about the playoff picture. A second Penske win in as many weeks locks in a second Penske driver to the playoffs. And that means that, well, the playoff cut line doesn't change because Josh Berry's still outside of the top 16, which means that 15th is arguably the cut-off line. And right now, Stenhouse is 12 points to the good from Kyle Busch, who was up and down over the course of the day. Had a spin and a wreck that put him onto pit road. In fact, he span his way onto pit road. But he still managed to get a top 20. He got 20th, which is quite impressive. It's like Briscoe, who managed to still run around at the end despite the amount of tape that was on the front of that car. Stenhouse is only 1 point behind Cindric, but like I said, Cindric's won, so the next person who isn't locked into the playoffs ahead of him is Chase Briscoe, who's 5 points to the good. He's only 10 points behind Chris Buescher. But in the regular season standings, Byron's lead is now down to 13 points from Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin is nearly 100 points behind Byron and is level with Chase Elliott following that early race exit. These last two races have not been good for Denny Hamlin, 21st and 38th. Now, they haven't been great for Elliott. He got a top 5 in Talladega and a 16th here. But Reddick also struggled, 14th and 21st. In fact, most of the top 10 has had at least one finish that is outside of the top 20, if not the top 30, in the past 2, maybe 3 races. Bowman's had 2 sub-30 place finishes in the past 3. 3 in the past 4. Anyways, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and joining, folks, and until next time, it's bye-bye for now.